You know how people say if they wanted to, they would? Now, if someone wanted to care about their life, they would. If you ever find yourself caring about somebody else's life more than they care about their own life, then it's time to stop and you better leave. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and without further ado, let's get straight into the episode. Truly think about it, yeah. I mean, if someone really cared about like their lives or whatever, they would be taking action and everything, and they would be like more serious about it, right? So for example, right, for the longest time I've dealt with just having people in my lives that didn't really care about, their mental health in a sense. And it's just like I was looking out for their mental health, because if like you're friends with me or you're associated with me or like I know you in any way, and I can just tell that this situation could be mentally draining you and whatnot, I will do whatever it is in my power to like get you out of that state, because it's not nice to see the next person's mental health just literally deteriorating when you can be, when like it's not like I'm gonna fix them or whatever, but at least I can just be a helping hand. And if I can do that through whatever I need to do or say, I will do that. I will do what's necessary. So the thing about this is, right, a lot of people are very comfortable with their situation, right? And you just kind of have to see that, you know what, they're finding comfort in that situation, and that's okay, even though it's not okay in a sense. I think that, as humans, we're very like comfortable beings, and like the thing is, even though we're constantly chasing the next thing, we want to get this like next big thing, but at the same time we just can't step out of our comfort zone. And it's only once we step out of our comfort zone where things are going to change, right? We all know that. But the thing is, I think I saw someone in a situation, right, and I could tell that it was not good for them. My first thought would be to just think about what I'm about to say before I even say so, because a lot of people get offended. A lot of people are not as receiving to feedback and to advice as they seem, and everything. And I just feel like some people can just be very aggressive when you tell them how it is. They can become like very aggressive and whatnot, and I've obviously been guilty of this. Thing about this is, right, it's just like it gets to a point where you just need to stop. Like, as much as you actually want to drill whatever belief and whatever advice and whatever mindset shift that you have gone through, and that you want to make them realize what you have realized, and because you see from an outside perspective, that person is in whatever situation they're in right now, and they may be acting just based on emotions, and they may be so blinded by their emotions that they don't actually see the situation for what it is. So what you need to do is you need to leave that situation, and you need to let that person deal with their own problems. Because in certain situations, guys, you just have to mind your own business. I know it sounds bad, it sounds terrible, but you know what? A lot of people just learn that way. A lot of people learn, I think, when things hit the fan. A lot of people learn when things hit the fan, and I just feel like you should let that person just learn it on their own. I do believe that, whatever they're going through, they are gonna get to a point where they finally standing a business, and they're just gonna remove themselves from the situation, no matter how long it takes. But sometimes we think that we're obligated to change people. We think that we're obligated and responsible, and we think that we are able to change people. And that's not the case. And it's like, you're not any person's savior and whatnot, in anything. And that person is just gonna find the right path when they finally get themselves out of that situation. And you may be blocking their blessing by interfering, and the thing is, that's the blessing from the Lord, honey, and then you are interfering with the Lord's plan. Honey, don't do that for yourself. Just don't get involved. A lot of people need to learn. I think it's sort of like similar to like a parental thing, I think, in a sense, because I think obviously with parents, right, they don't want their kids to make mistakes. They don't want their, I mean obviously we're all gonna make mistakes, but it's not something that they would like. They don't want their children to be put into like tough situations, etc, etc, etc. But the thing is, you need to like allow someone to be exposed in a certain area in their lives. you need to make sure that the exposure is there, so that when that person comes across a certain circumstance, they're not completely oblivious as to what they need to do. Because the thing is, if you're going to completely shut this person out, right, even if it's obviously not like a child or anything, if you're going to keep on shutting this person out on like real life experiences, when they step into the real world, they don't know what to do, they don't know how to act, they don't know what to say, because they haven't been putting themselves, or they haven't been allowed to put themselves through this situation because of the overprotectiveness of like their parents and whatnot. And that's just like one example within itself. And it's just like, you need to be able to see that certain people don't really care for what you say. They don't care what advice you have for them. They want to follow their own path. And you know what? If they want to do that, let them, because some people believe that whatever advice they have for themselves is the best advice. And you know what? In some cases that's true, but it's only the best advice when you're in the correct headspace. You're in the correct headspace. If you're still in the toxic, negative headspace, honey, it's gonna be bad. You're gonna want to take back that ex, even though you know that you shouldn't. You're gonna want to rekindle a friendship with someone who was toxic with you, just for the sake of having that friendship, because you can't stand being alone, you fear being alone, and it's just like you would rather have a low value experience, once again 10 times more, that's going to strip you away of your happiness and your peace and your sanity, just for the sake of having a measly friendship that means nothing. If someone wants to go back and do whatever they want to do with that person, usually I'll be the first to say, girl, is he serious right now? Because I'm always on team leave, especially like obviously if it's not benefiting you in any sense. Like, why stay? Like, you know, it doesn't make any sense, right? So let that person be exposed to whatever they need to be exposed to, because we're all humans and we came here with a purpose and a mission. So if you're going to be blocking somebody else, no matter how much you care about this person, you can't be their guardian angel forever. And even though you have that, you feel like you're responsible for it, they need to learn on their own. And I think it's hard for another person on the other end to realize that, because they don't want to see the person that they love and appreciate in that position. They don't want to see the person that they don't want to see the person that they care for in such positions. But in some cases, you just need to let the person be. You know, it's very important for someone to experience these situations on their own, and I can't stress that enough. Also, like on the parental thing, right, I think that overprotectiveness and everything, and that strictness, it literally creates the most problematic, troublesome kids ever, because they have been locked away and everything, and like haven't seen the outside world. And now when they finally just get to experience just an ounce of freedom, they take advantage of it, because it's like a drug that they, you know, it's like something that it's so foreign to them, and now they just want more of it and more of it and more of it, and they become addicted, and they end up like abusing that sense of freedom, because it's something that it wasn't really accessible to them in the past. And that's why you get so like such kids, and it's just like, in a sense, it's not their fault, but obviously you decided to do those things. It was your decision, so it automatically also becomes your fault. So it's like the parent is to blame and the child is to blame. The child is to blame for the decisions that they made, leading to the consequences, but the root cause of it all was the household in which they grew up in. Also, the reason why you should stop caring for people who don't really care for their own situations is because if they wanted to change, they would. If they wanted to actually get out of that relationship, if they wanted to move on from their past, if they wanted to forgive that person in their lives, they would have already. It's no use in you saying that, oh, you need to forgive that person no matter what they did to you. You know, it's only gonna hurt you and everything. Honey, if that person wanted to forgive that person, then they would have. It's not to say never give advice, but if it's like you've said your 2 cents, you've given your 2 cents, you've given that person advice, you can't keep constantly, like, you acted like a broken record now. You are literally a broken record repeating the same thing. And it's just like, after a certain extent or after a certain amount of times, you just have to stop and let them do whatever they want to do. Because if they wanted to, they would. Because y'all like to do this whole trend thing. If they wanted to, they would. If you wanted to, you would. If you wanted to change the situation, you would. It's just that you don't want to. and you're stuck with that comfort and that familiarity. The reason why you should stop caring as much if that other person doesn't really care for their own lives or whatever is because that person is now going to slowly take advantage of you. Because guys, people operate differently, and there are some people who are just needy. Some people will enable and take advantage of your nurturing personality. If you're that person that constantly wants to help people, make sure that people are okay, a lot of people might want to take advantage of that because maybe it's something that they've never gotten. Maybe they've been neglected as a child, so as a response to that, as a trauma response, they're going to want to take advantage of you because maybe they haven't had that amount of attention on them. They hadn't had attention in the past, from the people that it was like necessary for them to get attention from. So once they get a bit of an ounce of attention from someone, they're going to take advantage, and they're going to want more and more and more and more, and they're going to test you to see how much you love them, and everything, and how much you care for them. Because they're gonna, you know, those people, guys, you know, those people, like, I call them psychos sometimes. You know, those people where like someone wants to see you do something, even if it's risky, just to prove that, you know, you love them and you care for them. Like, if you really cared about me, you would do this. Sometimes it just stems from a place of like, it's obviously a form of manipulation, which is why I'm also saying, like, also like distance yourself from these people, because some of these people are not really like good for you in a sense. Anyways, as I was saying, so you know those people that have that mindset of like, if you loved me, you would do this, right? And then it's like this thing of like, I don't know, it's because they haven't had that when in their upbringing or as a child. So because of that neglect and that rejection and all of the things that they face, they want it from you. And when they can't have it from you, it's like you were the one person they could have gotten it from, and now that they can't get it, they're gonna act crazy and they're gonna spiral because that's something that they needed all of their lives, and now they don't have it anymore. And it's just like they're wondering and asking themselves, like, why aren't they able to get it? Like, why me? Like, I see that a lot in the movies and everything. It's just like they always ask these things of like, why don't you love me? Like, why isn't it me? And it's because they've experienced such lack in their lives before. And now, when they finally found a victim of their own, they want that to be that person that's going to provide everything. And once you don't meet their expectations, and once you don't do a certain thing, they're going to instantly think that you don't love them, you're not into them, you don't care for them, and then they're going to act based on their emotions, and then they might do something crazy. So also another sign to just distance yourself sometimes, especially if you know they might be that type of person. Some people are not born psychopaths, they just become psychopaths. So like, watch out sometimes, just really and truly, because it could be anyone. You need to be very wary, because that's not someone that you want to have in your lives, because it's like they constantly want to contact you and be associated with you when they need that kick of like, oh, there's someone who actually loves me. They want to have that validation, so they go to you for that validation, to replace all of the rejection and to just substitute and to just fill the void in their lives. And they're just constantly gonna use you, and they're gonna drain you of their energy, and you're gonna leave every single conversation with them just feeling drained, and you're gonna wonder why you're always feeling like this. And it's just because you're pouring all of your energy into them, and they're not pouring any energy onto you. Because when is the last time they asked you if you're okay? When is the last time they asked you about your life? How are you? How are things? But you constantly have to be with them. You constantly have to care more than they do about their own lives. It's just not fair. Just realize that people will only listen to what they think is right. So if that person in their minds genuinely from the bottom of their hearts believe that they're right in a situation, that's what they're gonna believe, trust me. So no matter what you do or say, they're not gonna listen. They're not even gonna be like, they're not even going to consider what you're saying, because they truly believe that. Like, what are you even saying, girl? Like, you don't even know what you're saying, so why should I believe what you're saying? That's literally what's going in through their minds. It's like, whatever I say and what I think is right, so whatever you say, it's invalid. So it's just like, just stop wasting your breath, stop pouring energy into these people, stop letting them drain you, stop letting them have so much of your time. Stop wasting your time on people who think that what they do and what they say is the only correct thing, that their way of doing things is correct, you know? The only time that your advice is ever gonna sink in and where they're gonna remember your words is when shit hits the fan. when they finally like, they're gonna get to a point where like it's like, oh, she was right, and then they'll want to come back to you and tell you that you were right and everything. And it's just like, it's valid, they can come to you, but it's up to you whether or not you want to allow these people to still have access within your life. You know what, guys, you know me, and constantly saying, if something doesn't serve you, toss it, toss it. So if that person doesn't serve you anymore and you don't see any value that they could bring into your life and everything, then it's within your power and within your reach to cut them off. You're not obligated and responsible to keep them in your life just because they're your friend, and not because they finally listen to you. They can be in your life. Who knows what will happen next? Who knows how they will respond? Who knows if they've actually grown from the situation? Who knows, they might go back. Who knows, they might repeat the same thing. So you don't know, and you don't want to be stuck in the same cycle, because one person can say that they've changed, but then you'll see them switch up literally a few months after, and it's just like, girl, you said you would never do this, but you're back on it, and it just gets tiring just being the person on the other end. Guys, for the first time in your life, put your peace of mind first. Put your peace of mind first. It is not being like selfish in a sense, like, and you know what, if people call you selfish for it, then so be it, because you have been caring about somebody else more than they have even cared about themselves. Caring about somebody else who hasn't even poured, like, okay, you haven't even been, wait, English, for someone who doesn't even care as much as they care for you. And it's just like, it should be equal. There should be no like, this one loves the other one more than the other. There should be that level of like, we love each other equally, and I'm willing to support you, I'm willing to support you, I'm willing to help you, I'm willing to help you. And that's how every relationship should just be. It's not about being transactional, it's just about understanding each other's needs and being able to pour into each other's cups, because at the end of the day, you cannot always just be someone's pillar of strength all the time. Sometimes you need to be listened to, even if you're not a person that can express themselves through words or their emotions or whatever. You also need that as a human being, so prioritize that next time. With that being said, guys, that was a lovely one. I think that was one of my favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. Comment down below if you guys have any suggestions or anything else to say. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.